Good morning. Okay, today is a review day, which means that there's actually no homework today. All you have to do is get ready for the quiz. So we're going to play some Jeopardy today. Here are some topics for the quiz. You don't have to make a note sheet because it's just a quiz. It's not an actual test. But it wouldn't hurt to make a note sheet. In fact, it'd probably be a very smart thing to do, just to get all of your thoughts down in one spot. Also, at least before you take the quiz tomorrow, make sure that you organize your notes. Because in 4.1, or for example, 5.1, we wrote it says write an equation of a line given a point. And 5.1 also says write an equation given 2 points. Now, both of those we created like how-to instructions with steps. So you're going to want to locate those, make sure you have those for the quiz tomorrow. If you don't have those, then go back to the right days to make sure that you know where that stuff's coming from. 5.2, write an equation for a parallel line given a point, and write an equation of a perpendicular line given a point. Both of those have steps as well. Then you had to determine if two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, and that is by checking slopes. Remember, if two lines are parallel, they have the same slope. If they're perpendicular, they have opposite reciprocal slopes, and if it's neither, then, neither of those things are true. For 5.3, you have to be able to make a scatter plot and draw a line of best fit on a scatter plot, so just draw it in. And then also you have to recognize the difference between positive, negative, and no correlation on graphs. So, go ahead and pause the video for a second if you want to write any of these down. And then we'll move on to Jeopardy. All right. Jeopardy time. So go ahead and score yourself throughout this. You could get lots of points. So feel free to email me and tell me how many points you got playing Jeopardy, if you want to. We're just going to go right in a row down here, 600 points, right straight through the lines. We're going to start with 5.1. All right, first question on 5.1 says, this is the Jeopardy game, write the equation of a line that passes through those 2 points. So, let me just take this. I'm only doing one question at a time. Go ahead and pause right now and try this question out yourself. See if you can do it. In just a second, I'll be doing it with you. So pause, 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 pause. Okay. Write the equation of a line that passes through 5, -3, and 1, 5. Well, the first thing I need is, whenever I'm writing the equation of a line, I need a slope and a y-intercept. So the first thing I'm going to do is find a slope by doing that y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2 thing. Here's my first one, x1 and y1, and my second point is x2, y2. And then I'm going to start plugging stuff in. So -3 minus 5 over 5 minus 1. Okay, that gives me -8 over 4, which is the slope of -2. So now I can write that in on my equation. Y equals -2x plus b. And then, for my final thing, I've got to plug in one of these points. I'm going to pick the one that looks easier, so I'm going to pick that 1, 5. So 5 is my y. 5 equals -2 times 1, which is my x, plus b. So that's 5 equals -2 plus b. Add 2 to both sides, and I get 7 equals b. So my final equation is y equals -2x plus 7. Did you get it right? If you did, it's 600 points. Congratulations. Well done. 600 points to you. Whew. Okay. That one's done. Now let's try 5.2 part 1. Okay. Write the equation of a line that is parallel to this line and goes through this point. So on the quiz tomorrow, it could possibly be a parallel line, it could be a perpendicular line. Remember, parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So since parallel lines have the same slope, I already know what the slope is. It's right here. Y equals negative x, or negative 5x plus b. So I'm just writing in on y equals mx plus b, just filling in the slope. Okay. And it doesn't matter. This y-intercept right here doesn't matter. So ignore that 8. And then it goes through the point 0, 2. So I'm going to plug that in. 2 is the y. 0 is the x. And then if I solve it, I get 2 equals 0 plus b. So b is 2. So my final equation of my line is y equals negative 5x plus 2. Which, by the way, this is the y-intercept. See, because the x is 0, so you didn't even have to plug it in. You could have just written 2 on the end if you realize that. But if you don't realize that, then, if you use the same way every time where you plug in that point, it always works. Did you get it right? It's another 600 points. That's 1,200 points for you so far. I'm sure you're killing it. Third one, 5.2, part 2. Oh. Kitty is knocking my things on the floor. She's such a jerk. She went outside. Well, she goes outside like every day, but she went outside recently and came back with her ear torn open. I think she got into a fight with another cat. I can't really tell. But she does have an enemy cat outside that we hate. And that cat stalks around our property and looks in the windows to see if she's here. It's like they've got a real rivalry going on. Okay, so to figure out if these lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, you should pause it. If you haven't paused already, pause and try the problem out. Pause. Okay. So what you have to do is essentially you have to make it look like y equals mx plus b to compare the slopes. And if the slopes are the same, they're parallel. Opposite reciprocal for perpendicular, or neither means, neither one. So I'm going to take this top one first. And the first move I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3x on both sides to get y by itself. So now I have 4y equals 3x plus 8. And then I'm going to divide by 4. So then I get y equals 3/4 x plus 2, because 8 divided by 4 is 2. So that's my first line. And now I have to find my second, and then I'll compare the slopes. So on this one, to get y by itself, the first thing I'm going to do is add 4x. So now I've got 3y equals positive 4x minus 6. And then divide by 3 on both sides. So I get y equals 4/3 x minus 2. All right, so parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Well, they're definitely not parallel, because parallel they would have the same slopes, and these slopes are 3/4 and 4/3. You might be tempted to say they're perpendicular as well, because they're reciprocals, right? One is flipped of the other one, but they're not opposite reciprocals. If they were opposite reciprocals, one of them would be positive and one of them would be negative. So the answer to this question is actually neither. Neither is, it's not parallel or perpendicular. Pretty close, though.